Before this excavator pin shaft had a mold, it caused the internal ore to appear and could not be fixed. It was very expensive to replace imported parts. The Pakistani master used steel pipe processing. After their simple operation, it could be restored to the factory settings and continued to be used. Because the owner of the excavator was careless, the pin shaft of the part was worn out by more than half and was not discovered in time. When the pin shaft could no longer function, it was sent to the repair shop in Peshawar. Because the wear was too serious and the surfacing welding did not have good wear resistance, the master first used scrapped steel bars to fill the worn areas on the surface. Of course, this filling saved a certain amount of welding rod. The master's workload was not only to completely fit the steel bar and the pin shaft, but also to repeatedly clean the welding slag after welding one layer. Then, the adjacent steel bars were placed at intervals. The main purpose was to reserve space for subsequent surfacing and ensure that the adjacent steel bars could be welded into a hole. Because the wear gap was more than half, as for the need for 3 steel bars to fill, if the welding rod can fill the gap, there will be no pores after the machine cutting. The steel bars cut by Master U are of different lengths. Fu's welding efficiency after the master quickly consumed 10 welding rods. The broken pin shaft had been repaired and could be used with the original sleeve without damage. The pin shaft with an oversized outer diameter needs to be cut by lathe to restore the data of the round field of the pin shaft. In order to avoid excessive cutting of the pin shaft and reduce the outer diameter, Master U will use all dark card paper for precise measurement. This is also the key to the pin shaft's perfect joint. The flatness of the pin shaft surface is very high, so the master will strictly control the amount of force of each cut, which will increase the number of cuts, but can make the outer diameter of the pin shaft more accurate. After half an hour of lathe processing, the pin shaft without any impurities on the surface has met the requirements for reuse. In order to test whether the pin shaft still has mineral content, it needs to be installed and tested with the original sleeve. Because the sleeve has been scrapped due to long-term wear, the gap between the two will be reduced. Master U will use this thickened steel pipe processing and embedded bushing. Since the bushing needs to be installed from both sides, Fu will use a lathe tool to make a simple mark because their repair shop does not have a cutting slot knife. The same width of the steel pipe needs to be engraved on the steel pipe. The steel pipe needs to be taken outside. The main purpose is to facilitate the master to cut with a lance. Although the cutting of the lance is a test of the master's skills, their hands are very steady. There is no deviation on the cutting line. After the master's skilled and fast cutting, there is still a data error in the inner and outer diameters of the steel pipe. When the pin shaft and the sleeve are normally connected, Fu will cut the steel pipe according to the gap. The smooth surface can make it easier to install. After the master simply cuts a layer of the inside and outside, the comparison with the shaft pin. When there is a gap, directly use the valve head to smash it into the sleeve. In order to prevent the bushing from rotating with the shaft, the inner wall needs to be fixed with a welding rod. Then use a straight grinder to grind the inner wall for a second time. After engraving the second bushing according to the existing data, the pin shaft needs to be reinstalled to its original position. After confirming that it is correct, fix the line pin. This worn excavator pin has been repaired by welding. What do you think of the Pakistani master's skills?